What is up, everybody? Got a second video here for you all. I know a lot of people have been wondering what I've changed in the past week, and it's a drastic difference. It's a pretty simple, straightforward build. It's just all straight DPS reds. It's still a rifle build, and also with an LMG as a secondary. But this will actually output a lot more DPS, and it's very easy, even in all reds, to solo heroics with this, because you're going to kill enemies in, 1 to 3 shots around. And it's pretty simple if you play smart. There's a couple of different changes that you can do, mostly with the chest piece and mask options, and I'll go over those. And I'll try to touch on everything that's important and the different combos. But this is a strictly DPS build. It works really good in a group when you've got, a healer or a tank. But it also works great, just solo and dumping on things. And not necessarily only solo. You can do heroic control point 4s with no healer, with no tank, without any issue, as long as you're playing right. So the base of the build, I'm going to start with 3-piece Providence Defense. You can get away with 2 pieces and supplement the 3rd piece with Grupo. Keep in mind, Grupo you'd want to have on your holster, since you're not losing a mod slot. The Grupo mod slot is not red, I believe it's blue. Grupo's 1-piece bonus is 15 crit damage, so it's the same thing as the 3rd piece of Providence. Which means you could also wear a Providence mask with a Grupo holster, and that'll actually build 15 more crit damage permanently on your build by doing that. So that is an option. Grupo holster, 3-piece Providence with the mask slot. I guess I'll start here with the mask, and then I'll show you the other pieces. But the mask, you get this at level 35 for your season reward. You can only get it once, and it's a great mask. It always rolls weapon damage max with crit chance and crit damage with the red mod slot. Currently, you can't get a second one of these until they add it into the game. So do not delete it. It's great. You can have all 3 of these buffs at the same time as long as you have 3 people in your group wearing it. If you shoot something within 0 to 15 meters of range, you and all your teammates get 25 crit damage. It doesn't expire. The only way that changes is if you shoot something else further away. Then from 15 to 25 meters, you get 10 crit damage and 10 crit chance. That is really good. Some people are only speccing 50 crit chance and using this. I would not do that. The only way I would ever do that is if I was, using a Bullet King, which will only allow you to have 50 crit chance on a build that uses, 2 crit mods on their guns to reach 60 crit chance. So I can go over that when I'm showing the LMGs, but it pairs up perfect when you do want to use a Bullet King and you want to have 60 crit chance for your rifle. Now, least often is the 25 meters plus. You get 25 crit chance. I don't think this is that useful. It could be cool if you had like a healer or something, wear this mask and shoot something from really far away at the beginning, giving everyone this crit chance, which does not allow it to go over cap. You can only get 60. And then they never shoot anything again. Except maybe heals at you, and that does not make it go away. But then you'd need to have everyone's builds built primarily for that. So I don't think it's really worth it. It's mostly for these 2 here, which you can get a total of 35 crit damage and 10 crit chance from it. These do not stack on top of each other. You can't have multiple of these 0 to 15 meters, but you can have all 3 going at once with 3 different people in your group wearing them. There's another option for a mask if you don't want to wear this. It's, the Providence Defense Mask. It's a great option. The 3rd piece would give you 15 crit damage and allow you to use crit damage on your holster through Grupo. Or if you're struggling, like early build for me, I use a Seska holster. Seska holster's 1 piece is 10 crit chance. So early on in your build, this is a very good option, but eventually you're going to want to build away from this, I think, because you can get more damage output without it. Especially once you start leveling your shade level up and getting that extra 10 crit chance in your thing. When you do level up your shade, I highly recommend going crit chance first. Eventually, you will get 10. I only have 6.2 right now, so there's another 3.8 that I can still gain on my build. And once everything in my build is perfectly rolled, meaning I gain, 6 crit chance here instead of 5.4, and 0.3 more on my chest here, as well as, 0.4 more on my holster, I will actually have, I believe, 59.5 crit chance without having to use crit chance mods or anything extra, which is really cool. So, as far as talents go, backpack, I prefer vigilance. You can also use composure. Composure is a good option. Composure only works when you're in cover, and I believe it's only 15. And it is multiplicative, which is pretty good. But vigilance is great. It increases your weapon damage by 25%. But if you take damage, it gets disabled. So in certain situations, composure is going to be better, but not all of them. Especially in harder missions when you sometimes don't actually have proper cover to use, and you're kind of just walking out of a door, doing some damage, and walking back in. More like peek shotting around corners rather than taking cover. And especially when you're playing with 4 people, there's certain areas in these heroics or legendaries, depending on how good you guys are, that it's difficult for everyone to be in good cover. So I prefer vigilance. Also, if you have bonus armor and take damage to that bonus armor, you don't lose vigilance. So it pairs up really well with a tank build. But if I had a crazy, insane God roll backpack, this is my weakest part of my build. As you can see, I think backpacks in general are going to be the hardest thing for people to get. It was like that, for the past year, and it's still like that for me. Yeah, mine's got hazard protection instead of crit damage, so a lot of improvement here. As far as stats that you want, obviously, your core attribute, weapon damage, try to get that as high as possible. Crit damage, crit chance, and then a mod slot for either crit damage or crit chance. Supplement your crit chance until you get 60 and gradually remove it for crit damage is my recommendation there. As far as a chest piece, you want to have Providence chest pieces. I recommend 2 different ones. One of them for situations where you don't need survivability as much. When you're doing, just control point heroics, four-man control points, I find I don't need unbreakable. I get away with glass cannon. Glass cannon, you can also get perfect glass cannon, the sacrifice. All damage you deal is amplified by 25%, but all damage you take is amplified by 50%. Makes a big difference in how fast you die. Instead of dying in 1 bullet, you now die in a half a bullet. So keep that in mind, because some of the enemies do shoot half bullets at you. Same thing with this, though. Weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and a mod slot. Eventually, I want this mod slot to be crit damage, but I need to remove this mod. This is my only mod slot of crit chance right now. To remove this, I need to get my shade level maxed, and I need to have perfect rolls everywhere else to hit my crit cap. The other option, which is a great option, is Unbreakable. This is an insane God roll chest here. It's only 0.5 crit damage away from perfect. It rolled 15 weapon damage with 11.5 crit damage on it, and I put the 6 crit, and it has Unbreakable. So Unbreakable is now 95% of your armor is repaired when it would be normally depleted. So that's giving me 700,000 armor. It's got a 60-second cooldown, but what's great about this is it pairs up with your tank's retardigrade chest. Your tank should be wearing, especially in PvP or legendary missions, this thing here, the retardigrade. Basically, what this does is gives the wearer and everyone else in the group 80% armor when their armor breaks. 80% of the tank's armor, not their own armor. So our tank has 2 million armor. When we would die, our Unbreakable is filling our real armor up back to 95%. We're just going to say 700,000 armor. Then when our 2 million armor Retardigrade buffer kicks in. This stacks on top of it. We get 80% bonus armor, the blue armor, and that is a lot. That's 1.6 million armor that you get from them for a total of like you're gonna have like 2.3 million armor when you basically should have been dead prior, which allows you to then do a lot more damage in that new armor buff that you have, and then, you know, move out of the way and re-heal. So it's a great combo. It's really, really useful, and I highly recommend it. So make sure you're trying to look for glass cannon chests and unbreakable chests. Later endgame, I think unbreakable is going to become very, very, very important. Gloves, to me, these are a no-brainer. There's nothing better. It doesn't matter if you don't use an LMG or not. For any gun, these are best in slot. The contractor gloves, they're Petrovs. Apparently, you cannot get these in the dark zone. I believe they're a light zone only drop, is what I've been told. You want, you know, weapon damage. These ones kind of suck. They always roll 11% damage to armor, and then crit chance or crit damage, whatever you're missing. I could use, you know, a better pair, and hopefully I find a pair sometime soon, because these ones are definitely lacking. It's pretty easy to get these good, though, because all you need is a good roll down here or a good roll up here, and you're good to go. This damage to armor is the only spot you can get it in the build as far as your gear goes, so it's very, very useful. Then we've got the Overlord knee pads. These are also the same situation as those LMGs. I think these are best in slot, even if you don't use a rifle, because they have 15 damage to targets out of cover. These ones are almost perfect. 14.3 weapon damage, which is amazing. And then you roll the bottom one to either crit damage or crit chance, whatever you're missing or whatever you have higher of for that specific slot. And these are great, even if you're not using a rifle, because of that 15 damage to targets out of cover. I believe these drop in the dark zone and light zone. I'm not certain, but as far as I know, they do. But I know they drop in the light zone, certain. And they may... I'm being told they do drop in the dark zone. As far as the backpack, there's also a named backpack. I showed you my backpack, but there is a named one called the Gift, but is a dark zone only drop. So if there's ever backpacks or Providence in the dark zone, you might want to go farm them and try to get it. It doesn't change it that much. It's a 3-second cooldown instead with the same damage, but it only takes 3 seconds to reset the buff. Holster, it's basically your piece that you can change. You can run Providence, like I said, for that 3-piece bonus. You can run Grupo for the same thing as Providence, 3-piece, 15 crit damage. Or you can run Seska. This is a really good option because it gives 10 crit chance. In early stages, you might not have the options to have crit chance everywhere. You might be lacking. So for a while, I was wearing a Seska holster. This one kind of sucks because it has headshot damage, but whatever. It's a good combo. So you could pair that up and change your mask out, move it around however you want. But that pretty much covers the gear. As far as guns go, I absolutely love the classic M1A. It's, I think, the best gun in the game right now. And you want to have high rifle damage, high crit damage. I think the best attribute is damage to targets out of cover, or damage to armor. Your choice. You can't get as much damage to armor. I think it only goes to 6. So keep that in mind. This goes to 9.5, I believe. So it's one of the two. I can change mine. That's my recalibrated piece on my build, is the damage to targets out of cover, I think. And Boomerang. Boomerang is my favorite talent. Boomerang is absolutely amazing. Critical hits have a 50% chance to return the bullet to the magazine, meaning it doesn't consume the bullet. It's an extra free bullet. If a bullet is returned to the magazine, the next shot has a 40% increased damage. That 40% increased damage can also crit, so it's a huge amount of damage increase when Boomerang happens, while also extending the magazine. on average, I get 5 to 10 extra shots per magazine with a classic M1A. It starts with 16 if you reload it while it's not empty. And let's find out how many we get. Let's just do one run and find out. We'll go up close. Here we go. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We shot 22 times. So, what? For 6 of those shots were extra and doing 40% extra damage, which is a lot. As you could see, my crit numbers were varying. Some of them were 2.7 million, and some of them were, what, 3 point something. We got to get a, there it is, 3.19. So that's a lot. 3.2 million body shot crit with this gun. That is awesome. Self-buffed. As far as an LMG goes, oh, the other options here, because some people prefer this. On console, I could see this being by far the best choice. The Baker's Dozen is the easiest one to get. Perfect lucky shot. It doesn't do anything other than increase your magazine bigger than regular lucky shot. It's 30% instead of 20%, which does not make a big difference on a 10-round gun. But missed shots from cover have a 100% chance to return to the magazine. So if you're shooting at the wall and missing shots, it doesn't count your bullet. It doesn't use it. It's infinite shots if you miss. Which is really nice on console where it's harder to land shots. So keep that in mind. You will have a lower damage output compared to Boomerang. And if you're landing your shots with Boomerang, Boomerang for me always is giving a bigger magazine than the Baker's Dozen. Now, Baker's Dozen is obviously going to be a bigger magazine if you're missing, and Boomerang is going to be smaller if you're missing. But in my opinion, Boomerang is where it's at. The reload speed on these guns is not very long, and I learned something today. If you reload while you're not empty, the reload is faster. Like, look at the reload speed here. Now, if you reload from empty, it's actually longer because you got to chamber the round. Watch this. It's quite a bit longer. And there we go. So keep that in mind. I don't usually dump my magazine until it's empty, unless I have to, unless there's a target that's just sitting there wanting me to. But usually I'll pop out, I'll kill a target, and then get back in cover and reload my gun real quick. So Boomerang works really good for me. Now, as far as LMGs go, I think the best options are the MG5 or the Bullet King, which I still don't have. Keep in mind the Bullet King is going to have 10 less crit chance, assuming that you mod your gun for crit chance, scope, and underbarrel or muzzle, whatever. Since my build is based around the M1A Classic, there's only 2 mod slots, scope and underbarrel. So I only use those. I add 10 crit to the gun. And since the MG5 has 3 mod slots, you get an extra one. You can go with accuracy. You can go with stability. This is actually a good one, this extra stability here. The gun's pretty stable, but it does help with the side-to-side motion. I'm probably actually going to run it with the stable thing. Dropping it's a big difference, actually. I think I'm going to change it up. Instead of running the 10 accuracy, I'm going to drop its optimal range a little bit because I don't use this at long range. And I'm going to run that 20 stability. The gun's vertical stability is really, really good, but it shimmies side to side, and it's kind of annoying how much it moves side to side. So after switching it to this, it's actually noticeably better. So use whatever you want. You could also put 5 crit damage, but I think they need to buff the crit damage mods to 10 to make them worth using over the crit chance mods, because 5 crit damage is not equal to 5 crit chance. But up to you. And obviously I'm running gunner, so I'm putting the 50 round mag in there, giving me a total of 100 rounds. And the reload speed on this gun is absolutely insane with fast hands. If you don't know what fast hands does, critical hits at a stack of 4% reload speed, you can stack it up to 40 times. So I think you get like 160 reload speed, if my shitty math is correct. And it's out of control. The reload speed is just insane. So let me just, for instance, show you how fast this reload is. Who needs a bullet king? It's pretty crazy. You look like you're some maniac with violent speed and momentum just reloading your gun. Pretty cool. And it hits hard. This gun also has 30% more headshot damage than all the other LMGs, but I don't recommend trying to go for headshots. It just took me 15 seconds to clear those targets. Let's try it one more time. I think this range is the best spot to actually test your DPS because these targets always have the same amount of health as long as you're doing it on this. 14 seconds. So a second faster there. Now, if I try to go for headshots, you're going to notice something. It shimmies side to side. It's hard to control it into a headshot target. And this isn't even far away targets. As you can see, this is not as effective. A lot of people I watch try to shoot headshots with their LMGs. And I don't think they should be. Unless they're really, really, really close to you. The LMG's recoil just doesn't allow it to be as efficient. It doesn't. I can't control the left and right movement. I can try to bring it back into its firing area, but it's not something, and it's not consistent. It's not like vertical recoil. I'm also not even able to stack up a full 40 because so many shots are being missed. So keep that in mind. I don't think headshots are worth going for on these LMGs. And I don't spec headshot damage anywhere because of it. But this gun does give you bonus headshot damage. Body shots is where it's at with these bad boys. It's very consistent. Much easier to land a bunch of shots, get a full stack of your fast hands, and kill things a lot faster. 15 seconds, consistent. Now, the M1A, it's even better. Oh, shit, I didn't finish it. 12 seconds. Sometimes I can do this in one magazine if I get lucky with boomerangs. Oh, that would have done it. That would have been under 10 seconds if I didn't scuff that last shot. But the M1A is crazy, crazy damage output. Body shots. I don't even think headshots are worth it with an M1A. Like, occasionally, if they're peeking, you got to be more precise with the M1A. You got to slow it down. And if you miss any of them, you scuff your time to kill. It's like, it's even. Let's try to really not miss any. We got to slow it down so that dot's always on target, because one missed shot really screws you over. But it's not enough to make trying to aim for headshots worth it. I don't think. Even in a headshot build with riflemen, I've tested it out. I have a really good one. I don't think it's worth it. I think body shots is where it's at with these guns. Now, there's some real scuffed numbers here. Watch this. My DPS killing this target, body shot, is only 8 million DPS. 8 million, that's it. That time it was 10. I got a lot of lucky crits there. 9.5. On average, it's in the 8 millions. Let's do one more. Now, Since this gun kills all those targets over there consistently faster than the MG5, you would think it has higher DPS than the MG5, right? Well, wrong. This game is lying to us. My MG5 is saying it's doing 17 million DPS. It's like twice as much DPS than my M1A. How is this gun doing twice as much DPS if it takes longer to kill this? And it has a shorter reload speed. They both have to reload once to kill these targets. It doesn't make sense. Do not trust this shooting range, guys. Whatever you do, if you're theory crafting guns and builds, do not trust this shooting range readout right here. It is fake news. It is not accurate. This one is consistent. Test it here. It's always got the same amount of targets. They're always in the same spot. And you can consistently test your guns over and over and over. I highly recommend testing body shots, not headshots, but also test headshots. See where you go. You might be surprised that, you know, aiming at headshots at this close range right here is less effective for your build than aiming for body shots. And if you do notice that, because it's, you know, potentially out of your control because of reticle bloom, you might want to change up the way you aim your gun at targets. So I've rambled on long enough. I don't think steady-handed is worth using on the MG5. Some people might use it on the whatever that gun was that got nerfed. I'm drawing a blank on it. The one that used to be insane that was broken and got nerfed. But I don't think it's worth it. To me, it's either the MG5 or the Bullet Sponge or Bullet King. Those are really the choices. As far as sidearm goes, doesn't really matter. Use whatever. I never actually use mine. It's up to you. Now, here's my stats. I always forget to show these. I'm at 59.8 crit chance. Next level, that'll be 60. Currently, I'm at basically 120 crit damage. We've got 70 headshot damage, 11 armor damage, 0 to health. You could wear that mask. I think I forgot about that mask in the video. A lot of people wear the Yawl Mask. Shit. I should probably touch on that. Here's the thing with the Yawl Mask. The Yawl Mask has a shitty one-piece bonus. It's like hazard protection. It gives 21% health damage, and it's really popular. There's a lot of big streamers that are using it and say it's the best mask to use. Sure, it is against things with health. Situationally, it is definitely the best. Like, say, the Razorback fight, the Boomer fight, Buddy and Lucy against, you know, dogs and tanks. Things like that, it works great for. But in general, it's actually going to give you less damage output because it always rolls health damage, which means you then have to choose between crit chance or crit damage on its bottom slot there. And that means, sure, you might still be crit capped, but that means you had to either make up for that loss of crit chance that would normally be on the mask somewhere else, or a loss of crit damage. It's one or the other. If you factor in, say you aren't wearing a Coyote mask, and you're wearing 3-piece Providence for the 15 critical hit damage, plus the added, I don't know how much crit damage you get. I think you get another 12, is it? I think it's 12 for cap. Another 12 crit damage or something like that. So 15 plus the 12, assuming that the crit chances are the same. So we're going to factor in that you have crit chance on it as well. Plus, you could then throw in, you know, Grupo for another 15 crit damage. So that's like 40-something crit damage that you would have higher if you wore, you know, 3-piece Providence and a Grupo, or with the Coyote mask giving the crit damage to you and your teammates, and a 3-piece Providence or a Grupo. So I think it's just better. And here's the thing. All that crit damage, the 40-something extra crit damage you would normally have, that is useful to enemies that have health as well. But it's also useful to the 95% of other enemies that you're going to be doing damage to, or, you know, overall damage to your entire mission is going to be, you know, primarily armor damage. So I don't think it's the best option. I do want a good one, but I will only swap to it for certain fights. I would never actually choose to wear it all the time. I think it's a bad choice. But Yeah. Oh, skills. I almost forgot, guys. Running gunner. I run the Banshee Pulse. It's amazing. The Banshee Pulse is sick. It's got this long range of blast, and it confuses everything. I mean, it doesn't last a super long time, but it saves your life. When you're a glass cannon like this thing saves your life. It's got a pretty quick cooldown as well. It doesn't take that long to get it back. And you can just tap it rather than charging it to give it that long range. You can just tap it if something's rushing you and you're in the middle of a reload or something, you're about to die. You just hit that thing and they're going to be confused and no longer able to kill you, which is great. It saved me so many times, and it's also really useful. I love it. The other thing I use is obviously Reviver Hive. I don't think a glass cannon should leave home without it. It is your friend. And the way I spec my, what's it called, is probably pretty standard here. The gunner, I spec LMG damage, rifle damage, and I currently have sniper rifle damage. Doesn't really matter what you spec there. Early stages, if this isn't fully leveled, you would obviously only do rifle and LMG. Make sure you do the LMG so you can get your bigger pouch. Make sure you equip that. One thing that's really nice is every third reload is 50% faster. So that's a pretty cool little thing for your rifle and your LMG. You get 10% armor on kill. You get 30% bonus armor after you use your med kit. You get the great Banshee Pulse. You get, some ammo resupply. You also get a rate of fire increase after you kill stuff, 5%, which is also pretty nice. And you get weapon handling while not moving. This is also pretty nice. Like this skill tree is amazing. Like almost everything here is usable and good. The minigun as well. The minigun got buffed. It's absolutely amazing. This minigun, I'm critting heads for over 1 million damage, and it's got crazy range on it. It shreds. And while you use the minigun, you get some ridiculous armor as well. So it's awesome. I highly recommend Gunner. I think it's the best one for most builds because of how well you can use it with everything. You also get Riot Foam Grenades, which are pretty cool for CC. It saved my life plenty of times in some of the harder difficulty things. You can, when a spawn is upcoming and they come out the door, you throw that Riot Foam Grenade and they're fucked. I love it, and it gives you the extra mag. Compared to most of the other, specializations, Gunner is just so good, and highly recommend it. So I think that's everything. I think I covered everything. I normally forget to show the stats, but I showed them this time. And it looks like I covered everything. I'm sorry for such a long video. I tried to keep it quick, but I rambled. I don't have any video editing software right now, and I'm also lazy and don't really have time. I have 3 kids and a wife, so editing videos is not really my thing. If anyone wants to do it for me, that'd be cool. Just kidding, but not really. I would appreciate it. You guys can check me out live, Twitch TV/Inigo Montoya. I play almost every day. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like, comment. Let me know what you might do differently. If you disagree or agree or whatever it is, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching.